There is one thing nobody tells you after you pass your HGV test. Getting the license is the easy part. The hard part is the moment when you realize that having the license doesn't mean that anyone is waiting for you. You passed your driving test, you have the CPC, you have the taco card. Now what? In the training adverts, it looks simple. Pass the test and the companies will fight to hire you. You can start earning straight away. But when I actually stepped in the industry, I discovered something very different. And the first time I truly understood it, I was standing next to a truck at 6 in the morning, looking at a pile of carpet rolls and quietly asking myself, what have I done? Today, I will walk you through exactly how I got in, not the brochure story, the real one. In my last video about the driver shortage, I noticed something interesting in the comments. A lot of you are planning to start training. Some of you are close to booking your test. Some of you just passed. So this video is for you. Not to discourage you, not to scare you, but to show you the real path I took. Because once you understand the steps, you stop panicking. You just move forward. The training and recruitment agencies sell a beautiful story. Pass your test and the companies will fight to hire you. High wages, instant career. And I believed that story too. But the reality is not so bad. It's just simply slower than the advert. The start is not a red carpet. It is a narrow door. And you have to push it open yourself. But if you know that from the beginning, you save yourself a lot of frustration. Here is the first truth that most new drivers never hear. Many companies do not refuse new drivers because of skill. Smaller companies cannot afford policies that cover drivers with very fresh licenses, so they set conditions. 6 months, 1 year, sometimes even 2 years. This does not always mean you must have worked all that time. You simply need time to pass on the license for the policy to be valid. Big companies have hundreds of trucks, hundreds of drivers, huge insurance contracts. They can negotiate better deals. That's why, when you look online, you will see large fleets willing to take new passes, because their insurance allows it. So, when you apply for jobs and hear nothing back, most of the time is not personal. It is risk management. And this is one of the parts nobody tells you when you pay for your training. And I know what you might think now. If that wall exists, how does anyone ever get past it? Because I stood in exactly that place once, and the job that opened my first door was not the job I expected at all. When I got my license, I first went for Class 2, then I did Class 1. During that time, I worked on Class 2 for a few months, and even after I had Class 1, I stayed on Class 2 work. Not because I wanted to, because I needed time on the license. My first Class 2 job came through an agency, and agency work is often the fastest way to put your foot in the door. At that moment, I truly believed that once I had my license and all the cards, companies will contact me and fight for me. But the reality was completely different. On paper, I was finally a lorry driver, but the first job I got taught me very quickly that having a license and having a career are not the same thing. The agency found me a job quickly, carpet roll deliveries. Very hard work. Those carpets were heavy, 40, 50 kilos, some even a few hundred. But at the time I was happy. I was finally a lorry driver, and I did not care how hard the work was. A few weeks in, and it started to take its toll. My back started to hurt, and I remember standing next to the truck one morning, looking at another pile of carpet rolls and thinking quietly, is this really what I worked so hard to get into? And that moment I decided my next move. Because from there, things started to change faster than I expected. I realized I could not do this long term, but now I was no longer a complete fresh pass. I had few weeks of real experience. So I moved on the next step. I went to another company delivering metal sheets and metal cylinders. The job was easier. Unloading was done with a forklift, but the branch was toxic, and I did not enjoy it. At that point, I learned something important. When you are a new pass, agency pay you as low as they can. They give you the worst shifts because you don't yet have many choices. So, I decided to try my luck with a different agency. This time, electrical deliveries, conduit tubes, cable rolls, still manual handling, but lighter. And once I learned all the shops, the job became a breeze. I stayed there for over a year. During that time, I already had Class 1. But the agency told me they could not place me on Class 1 work yet. Not enough experience. Or maybe they simply needed me on Class 2, because experienced Class 2 drivers are harder to find than Class 1. That also happens. So I waited. I thought I was stuck. Until one afternoon, when the transport manager walked over to ask me something. He said their Class 1 driver was going on holiday and asked me if I wanted to cover the night trunk for 2 weeks. Of course I said yes. I did not even let him finish the sentence. That was my very first real Class 1 job. And I will be honest, the days before the first shift, I seriously questioned if I was ready. Night roads, quiet motorways, but a full service station. I was so nervous, I parked far away from the other lorries. Not out of confidence, out of survival. I knew I could drive, but knowing and doing it alone are very different things. But night trunking turned out to be the perfect way to learn. Same depot in Kersley, same depot in Watford, same reversing spots. With every shift, I felt the trailer better. With every reverse, I gained confidence. And when I finished that first shift, the satisfaction was huge. I was really there, driving an Arctic, doing something that not long before felt impossible. Few months after, I got my first full-time Class 1 job at Warburton's. RDC to RDC, same locations, structured runs. A perfect way to build confidence. I remember the assessment drive. I was confident driving, but still worried about reversing. That day, I did probably my best reverse so far. Sometimes a bit of luck helps too. By this point, I finally understood something important. In trucking, once you break in, everything becomes easier. But getting in is the real test. From that point, doors start opening. Once you have experience, companies call you back. Interviews become easier and more options appear. And that's why I will always say, the hardest part in trucking is not driving the truck. It is breaking into the industry. And the real question you have to ask yourself is simple. Are you here because you enjoy this or only for the money? If you have passion for it, you will push through the hard start. If you chase only money, you will probably not last long, or you will end up hating it. Every experienced driver you see today once stood exactly where you are now. Unsure, excited, a bit scared. So, if you are starting now, don't panic if the beginning is slower than promised. There is room for everyone. You climb one step at a time. And if I were starting today, with everything I know now, I will still do it, just with clear expectations. The door is narrow, but it opens.